What is good, people of YouTube? Horrorshade here, and today we are doing another solo run, trying to beat Pokémon Violet with only a Cufant. But first, let's go over the rules. I can only use a Cufant in battle, but I can catch other Pokemon for an outside of battle use, like using the ability Pickup. I can't use items in battle like the potions, but I can use held items like the leftovers. A new rule that I'll be adding for Generation 8 and Generation 9 runs only, of no altering the Pokemon mid-run through the use of Nature Mints, ability patches or capsules, and no Terra Shard. And finally, no cheats or hacks are allowed. So Cufant is a Pokemon that I've always planned to use in a regular playthrough, I just never have, and so I thought, what better way to use it than in my first ever Generation 9 solo run. As for Cufant itself, it's a pure Steel type, so in terms of type resistances, it's pretty nice for us, but Cufant actually goes against the norm for Steel types when we look at its stats. Its attack stat is its highest stat, and both its defense stats are actually quite low for a Steel type, although its HP stat is actually relatively high for a Steel type, and is in fact the highest HP stat of an uninvolved Steel type. In terms of moves, we actually have some nice ones to cover our weaknesses, with ground and rock moves, and most surprisingly, a fairy move with Play Rough. For abilities, we can actually only get Sheer Force, which honestly could make this a really unique run. And as for how I reckon we'll do, I think the gyms should be pretty easy enough thanks to our typing. Maybe Iono could be difficult for us, but the Elite Four looks like it will be extremely painful, especially with the first member being a ground type user. Oh boy. Anyway, without further ado, let us do further and begin the challenge. So much like our Pancham run, we need to hatch Cufant from an egg so that it doesn't have the boosted ESP by being from a different original trainer. But hey, I mean, at least there's a waterfall to look at. So to get this run moving, we need to level up a bit first. And considering our nature, I decided to go look for Yungoos to get some early attack EVs. However, we need to look for the lowest level Yungoos we can find, otherwise we can't actually faint them. Thankfully, we find a few level 3 Yungoos that we can beat to get our first level ups and learn rollout along the way. Before we make our way over to the first gym, we head over to the Delibird present store and buy a muscle band to boost our physical attacks by 10%. We then have the most important battle we will have in this game, as we spot a trainer with a Fampi. So we have to establish who has the dominant elephant early on in this run. At the first gym now, and we faint in 2 turns due to Nimble having double kick. Well, that was unexpected. I try again at level 15 and it goes much better this time, as double kick is only doing 8 HP per hit, so we can easily get 2 turns of rollout to get the KO. Tarantula is second, but it's slower than us, so all it does is charge our rollout further as it faints. Last out is Teddiursa, who gets terrestrialized into the bug type from the normal type. So even though it almost KOs us with Fury Cutter, our 4th charge of rollout is now super effective and gets the one shot to get us our first gym badge. After that battle, we have some more money to spend now, so we head back to the store to buy the Quick Claw item that will occasionally let us move first, even if our speed is lower than our opponent. In the process of making our way to the second gym, we come across our first Titan Pokemon in Titan Cloth, which thanks to us having Bulldoze and some luck with the move selection of the AI, we can take it down in 3 turns and unlock the ability to move faster on Miraidon. I then definitely don't get distracted, as I remember we can now drift with Miraidon, and in the process of that, prove that Violet is the better version. Eventually, remembering what I meant to be doing, we go into the second gym to take on the gym leader Brassius. Much like our first gym, we open with Rollout, and thankfully Petlil doesn't use Sleep Powder, and with the next turn going the same way, we can KO it with a third Rollout. Next is Smoliv, and for the second gym in a row, the Generation 9 Pokemon of the gym is slower, and so it thanks, charging Rollout further. Last is a Sudowoodo, who gets terrored into the Grass type. However, our Rollout is now at full power, and so gets a KO to secure the second gym badge. We're back on the road again after that gym battle. However, on that road is a bird trying to kill us with boulders, and so we go to deal with that bird by having our elephant roll towards it confidently until we make it faint, because somehow that works. We finally make it to Lefencia, where there is another deadly bird present store with different items for us to be able to buy, and we decided to buy the soft sand and the metal coat, both items that boost damage of a specific type, being ground and steel. We then also end up buying the shell bell, an item that heals you depending on how much damage you do to your opponent. Being fully stocked up, we have our first rival battle against Nemona. And this is when I remember something about Sheer Force. It can negate the effect of some items when you use a move that has an additional effect. And one of those items happened to be the Shell Bell. So to beat her, we need to switch tactics. Next attempt, we have the Quick Claw instead. And despite Rockruff using Double Team twice, we KO it in 3 rollouts. Poor me is second, but the Quick Claw activates, and so we move first to one-shot it with Rollout, and last is their starter, Quaxwell. Although it only uses Work Up for some reason, so Fanfan is free to get one last hit with Rollout and get the win. Okay, time for a really painful gym. So Iono. Her first Pokemon is part Flying, so we can't hit it with Bulldoze, and it has Spark, a move that has a 30% chance to paralyze us. Next, she has a bulky Pokemon in Bellybolt, who has an ability that if it gets hit, it powers up its electric attacks. Her third Pokemon is Luxio, who has Intimidate, which means we lose 1 stage of attack every time it comes out of its Pokeball. And last, but certainly not least of the problems, is Mismagius. Normally a Ghost type with Levitate, which makes it immune to ground types, it is the Pokemon that gets terrestrialized into an electric type, meaning this Pokemon has no weaknesses at all. So I think it's fair to say I need a few new tricks. First we head over to Cascarafa to buy the leftovers. This is similar to the Shell Belt in that it will heal you, but is at a fixed rate of your maximum health. And importantly, you don't need to be attacking for this item to activate. At level 35, we finally managed to get some momentum going, as Watchroll for some reason uses a resisted pluck, so we can easily take it out with Stomp with minimal damage done to us. Bellybolt is out a second, and we borrow Underground, then the following turn do half health to it, as a boosted Spark does about a third of our health. We go for Dig again, but as you can see, the leftovers activates when we're underground, which gives us a turn of safe healing. We then get the KO on the Bellybolt the following turn, and the Luxio is out third. Intimidate drops our attack as we go back underground for an extra turn of healing, and then narrowly miss the KO, leaving it on only a sliver of health, as a Spark hits us, but thankfully does not paralyze us, meaning that we can go for Dig one more time to get the KO on Luxio. Last out is Mismagius, and it terrors into the electric type and goes for Confuse Ray, meaning there's now a chance we could do damage to ourselves. We go for a Stomp as it uses Hets, and it does look like from that exchange it's going to out damage us to the line, but Fanfan bypasses its confusion and hits a massive crit Stomp, so on the next turn, even though we are still confused, we get a hard-fought win. Continuing on from Lefencia, we come across our third Titan of the run, and probably the funniest. Orphan is a pure Steel type, but has an amazing ability in Earth Eater, which not only makes it immune to ground moves, which it would be weak to, but also heals it by 25% if it is hit by one. So it's fortunate we happen to have a fighting type move in Rock Smash to still hit it for super effective damage to end up with what was really a fairly easy battle in the end. Heading back towards Cascarafa, we fight some nearby trainers to first get to level 40 to get our first steel move and same type attack bonus in Iron Head. And then we go take on the full Titan, who's the Paradox Pokemon Iron Treads, who, thanks to super effective dig and some questionable moves from Iron Treads itself, we just about managed to squeeze through and win the fight. After that, we actually continue the grind to get up to level 50 due to some quick defeats to the 4th gym. And in that grind, I found out that Tatsugiri is a Pokemon that massively speeds up the grind, as it knows a self KO move in Memento. At level 50 now, and we start with one of our new moves from the grind, Play Rough. We almost take out Leaf Loser in one hit, who can hardly hurt us with a pluck, before it, thanks to our 100% accurate Iron Head. Rock Trio is sent out next, and with it being built more for speed than anything else, it can only do 15 HP to us with Water Pulse, as we get the KO with Play Rough. Although we do activate its ability, Gooey, lowering our speed. Last is Crabominable, who thanks to our speed drop from Gooey is faster than us and uses a super effective Rock Smash. As we respond with a Play Rough, the next turn it uses a Terror boosted Crab Hammer that crits us, taking us down to only 6 HP, which means we have to hit, which we thankfully do, as Play Rough barely wins us the battle. Over at Medali now, and we equip the Cherry Berry. It might look a bit random, but let's look at Larry's team. Kamala, Dunsparce, and Staraptor. Kamala does know Yawn, which will be bad for us if it uses it, as that could put us to sleep, but I think we can outspeed it and get the one shot in it with a Terror boosted Iron Head. What I'm more worried about is the Dunsparce. It has Glare, which will paralyze us, halving our speed, and it also has Drill Run, which is a super effective ground move. The Dunsparce I reckon will be slower than us at the start, so it will most likely go for Glare, lowering our speed. And if it does and we have a Cherry Berry to cure that paralysis, then we're essentially making the Dunsparce waste a turn, and we can probably take it out in 2 boosted Iron Heads. Let's see how this goes. For the first time this run, we actually have a reason to terrestrialize, so we do so to boost our steel moves. Kamala goes for the priority Sucker Punch just before fainting to the Terror boosted Iron Head, and the Dunsparce is next. We hit hard with an Iron Head, and it uses Glare just like I was expecting it to, essentially wasting its turn as a second Iron Head knocks it out, so all that is left is Staraptor, and as it has no moves we don't resist, it's just a case of spamming Iron Head until it faints. Always nice to see when a plan works out as expected. Things then take a massive turn as we take a quick detour to the middle of the ocean. Okay, there's actually a reason we're here. We have to catch a Magikarp, as the next gym battle is actually a double battle. So I'm catching a Magikarp so that it can have as little impact on the battle as possible. In the gym battle, they lead off with a Mimikyu and a Banette. Deciding that the Banette is the bigger threat, I Terror and use Iron Head as it trips us with a Shadow Sneak. Houndoom is a replacement for Banette on the field, and we see the other gimmick of this gym battle is that you can get stat boosts depending on what happens in the battle. That does make the battle easier though, and it shows that as we easily outgo first Houndoom, then there goes Terra Toxicity before we finally KO Mimikyu. What was really a easy gym battle. Just before the 7th gym, we level up to get our last move, Fiat level up, being Superpower, a fighting move with 120 base power, but a fairly big downside with both our attack and defense stat dropping by 1 stage when we use it. So I can't see many situations where we might want to use it. Still not at the 7th gym, but we have another painful rival fight. And it shows with Lycanroc dropping our defense with Crunch, as we take it out with the Terror boosted Iron Head. We then though fail to take out the poor Mott, who is second with a high horsepower, before it manages to faint us. So I actually tried this at multiple different levels, but it became clear for the first time in this run, brute force just wasn't gonna work without being massively over leveled. And so I decided to try something a bit slower. I replaced rollout and high horsepower with protect and substitute. To save you a blow by blow of this strategy, the plan is to try and maximize the healing we get from leftovers by getting extra healing turns by alternating between protect and the turns that we do actually faint the opposing Pokemon. Thankfully, the 7th gym is a much quicker battle. First is Frugarath, who we surprisingly outspeed and one-shot with a Terra Iron Head. Esperatha hits a weak Shadow Ball as it too goes down in one hit, so Gardevoir is next. It doesn't do much damage, but scarily, it drops our special defense with Psychic. So Florges is sent out. It does much more damage than it would normally have, but thankfully, we're faster to secure a much closer than expected win. Last is the Ice Gym, but I equipped the Air Balloon, as I know one of their Pokemon has Earthquake, and that will hurt a lot. They start the battle off with a Frostmoth, which does its job, setting up the Tailwind before we can KO it. Next out is the Pokemon with Earthquake, Beartic. However, as our Air Balloon is active, it uses Icicle Crash trying to flinch us. Thankfully though, we do not get flinched, and Oko in return with Iron Head. Sea Titan is third, however it doesn't live up to its name, as Liquidation doesn't do much damage, as it too goes down in one Iron Head. And last is Altaria, who tears and hits a Hurricane, before it too faints to a single Iron Head. And with that, we get our last gym badge of the run. Guess where we're back? We're back at Cascarapha. There is a league rep here who will give you a TM that we want, but to get it, we need to beat 5 trainers in the local area. After we beat the 5 trainers, we can go back to that rep and get the TM for Earthquake, which is just an all-round upgrade to high horsepower, being very slightly stronger than it, but more importantly, being 100% accurate instead of 95%. First attempt at the Elite Four, and we lose 140 HP in the first turn to Earth Power. Well, that was a definite not happening at this level. At level 87, we finally get past Whiscash. But with our Air Balloon getting popped, it means Cufant and Dugtrio can just destroy us with Earthquake. So I was going at this battle for many hours until I gave up and went back to grinding. And whilst grinding towards level 100, I found the TM that is the key to winning it all. Body Press. Body Press is a unique move where instead of the damage output coming off our attack stat, it comes off our defense stat. Now, considering our base stat total, that wouldn't seem amazing. However, we can actually boost our defense stat better than we can boost our attack stat, and that is with another move called Iron Defense, which will boost our defense by 2 stages in one move. Combine this with Leftovers recovery, and then at least on the physical side, we are very hard to KO. At level 91, we put our plan in motion, setting up an Iron Defense, and using Protect to get extra recovery before KOing Whiscash with a Body Press. Camerupt is a much simpler issue to deal with, as it goes down to a single Earthquake, and then Cufant is out next, who we are faster than, so we use it to set up our remaining Iron defenses, to the point that we hardly actually take damage from Earthquake, yet again confirming that Cufant is the dominant elephant in Paldea. Dugtrio is next and hits an Earthquake before fainting to Body Press, and Clodsire doesn't fare much better, not even getting the chance to attack before fainting. Cufant has a new challenger to the King of Elephants, as his second Elite Four member leads off with Cufant's evolved form, Coparaja. However, as it has no answer to the Iron Defense Body Press combo, we set up all 3 Iron Defenses to +6 defense before getting the KO with Body Press. Bronzong is second, and was a Pokemon I was worried about before I started the run. But Body Press is an Oko, and the same goes for Corviknight. Magnezone has 30, and so instead needs 2 Earthquakes to be knocked out, and last is Tinkaton, who can only do 18 HP as we finish the fight with one last Body Press. Larry is back, and we swap out some moves with Substitute and Iron Head, replacing Body Press and Earthquake. With Larry now using Flying types, he has a hard time breaking through our Substitute, with Tropius and Staraptor fainting to an Iron Head, before a Flamethrower from Altaria does manage to break the Substitute before it goes down. Oricorio is the 4th Pokemon, and does cause some worry with Teeter Dance and Revelation Dance, but thankfully we managed to break through the confusion to KO it. So last is Flamigo, who gets us down to 59 HP with a close combat, but we snap out of confusion and we land one last Iron Head to win the fight. Last is a Dragon Elite 4 member, and we make another small alteration to our moves. With Play Rough coming in for Substitute, we take probably the most damage we have in this boss rush with the always 50% of your current health damaging move Super Fang to start the fight, so it's nice when we get recovery with the leftovers. And that Iron Head is an Oko, with faster than Dragalge, and so it's an easy KO with Iron Head. And Haxorus is next, but even with its huge attack stat, it only does 22 HP with Crunch before fainting. Flapple is unexpectedly slower, and so it's an Oko. So all that is left standing of the Elite Four is Baxcalibur, who only manages a Brick Break before it also faints, sealing our victory. Well, who would have thought Wishcash would be the hardest Pokemon in the Elite Four? Anyway, it's champion time. We Terra turn 1 against Espatra as it uses Luminia Crash, not doing much damage but dropping our special defense by 2 stages. As we go for the Terra boosted Iron Head for the one shot. The coffee table itself, Avalok isn't next, and I see the opportunity to set up my Iron defenses. However, surprisingly, it uses Avalanche instead of its own Body Press, so I happily set up another Iron defense to get to +4 physical defense, and this time Avalok does use Body Press. I go all in setting up my final Iron defense as Avalok only does 44 HP to us, so we get up a Substitute in the next turn that survives Avalok's Body Press, who then goes down to our own maxed out Body Press. Veluza is next, and it does survive 1 Body Press, but it still can't break the sub, so a second hit is enough to finish it off. Kingambit is small, but being 4 times weak to fighting, it has no chance of survival against Body Press, so Go-Go quickly replaces it on the field. However, it too is slower and goes down in one shot. All that is left is her ace Pokemon, Glimora, who tears into a rock type. Then, in a baffling decision, uses Dazzling Gleam, which does break the sub, but won't help it as one last Body Press knocks it out, cementing us as the champion of Paldea. Well then, I guess there's no credits for after you beat the champion. Yes, we have the title screen. Anyway, that was actually a really smooth run at parts, but when we hit a wall, it was a very durable wall. I think, ironically, sheer force made it so beating the Elite Four was actually a defensive strategy, which I didn't see that coming. I also think if we didn't have sheer force, I probably would have beaten the Elite Four at a lower level, because I would have been able to flinch them with Iron Head or Stomp or something like that. Although I do think being around level 91, maybe even being higher, really, if we didn't have the moves that we did to beat the champion. Also, I think it might be a while until my next Gen 9 run, just because of how slow it is compared to all the other generations. And I want to see if I can get 1 run out a week. Maybe it'll be 2 weeks, but I at least want to see if I can get it out 1 a week. The main reason Gen 9 is so slow compared to everything else is you just can't turn off the move animations. So like every turn you're just losing seconds to other generations, but it's like, I don't know why they took that away. They just did. So yeah. Anyway, I think I've had a lot of physical attackers in the runs I've done on my channel, and so I want to do a special attacker next. It's not 100% confirmed, but I think for the next run, I'm gonna do Solosis in Pokemon Airs. That's gonna be a glass cannon for sure. So anyway, if you guys like the video, then leave a like and subscribe. That will always be appreciated. You don't have to if you don't want to, I mean, it's up to you. But yeah, and I hope to see you next week.